Thanks, everybody. My name is Keith Price. I am originally from Glasgow, as you can tell. My accent is very thick. No, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I came over here many years ago with the U.S. Air Force, sent me over here, and I've just stayed, and nobody's told me to leave. So it's gone very well. Got my residency now, so y'all are stuck with me. But I was thinking of a topic, and it's been a long time. I used to talk at all these types of events pre-COVID, and this is my first one in like 3 years. So I might be a little rusty, and I might suck a little bit, so I apologize for that in advance, but I'm going to try my best. I think this topic, so where I'm coming from is I want this to sort of be a discussion, really, versus me just talking to people. It's a view from outside our industry and how other people see us, the CIOs, the CTOs, the CFO, other people in the organization who might not like us, and for good reason sometimes, right? So I think we're very good at self-reflection and self-deprecation. So this is kind of in that vein. It's from a place of love, but I am a sarcastic kind of guy. Some of you may know that. And so it's going to be delivered in that sense. I don't know how to get it back on the screen, so I've already failed. Sorry about that. I've got it here on the screen, but I don't have it there. So I just need to turn it off and start again. Yep, there you go. Turn it off and back on again.
Never fails.
All right. Yeah, so thank you very much, Madison. So it comes from a place of love, but it's going to be kind of harsh. So I apologize. I hope I don't trigger anyone. But basically, it's been a rough time for humanity last couple of years. Security has gone through a lot of evolution, a lot of changes. I came from the military, the U.S. military, where as a security guy, people would come and say, we want to try. No, big red no. And I just said no all the time. And it was the easiest job in the world. And I got paid and nobody ever complained because it didn't matter, right? But that's really not the real world. And in fact, the military has changed since then as well to sort of meet the requirements for what the real world needs. So as an introduction, this is my family. So this is about 2 years ago. I have 7 kids. I have, in here, there's one grandson who's now a year old. That furry thing is a grandchild as well, I guess. But the rest of them, I've got 2 son-in-laws, and the rest of them are mine in that area. So in the military, when you change assignments, you go into a new house and you don't have any TV and you don't have any internet, and there's not a lot to do. So every time we moved, we had a kid. And that sort of was our, my wife said, you can have sports cars as a midlife crisis or kids. And I said, I like Legos, so let's go kids. And that's what we did. So my youngest, she's 5 now, and my oldest, Chloe, she's 27 or 28, I can't remember. But they all live where we live near Ely now. This was taken to the garden. And she and her partner, they live doing their own thing and everything. And the 5 youngest are with us. And these 3 here, they're like the devil in the tree because he just got into my diabetes medicine and changed it for other pills and was quite honest about, I thought I could kill Daddy. And these 2 enabled him. So that's what I'm dealing with. And this one wanted to come with me today. And I was like, there's no fucking hell. There's no way you're coming. You just tried to kill me. So my 32 years now. And it's weird because I'm only 35 years old. So I started really young. IT in the military, I was a munitions guy starting out. So I was building bombs and missiles and things for A-10s, F-15s and things like that. Retired at 20 years. out of Lake and Heath, which is nearby. Went back to the States, went to uni at 37. I thought, I'm really old for this, but, it was a good time. And I learned more than I thought I would. And then we came back. I got a job with the U.S. Army, came back via Stuttgart, Germany, to Molesworth. And after 5 years, I retired again as a civil servant and was about ready to go back to America, to Washington, D.C., when this company in Dubai, Dark Matter, called and said, hey, we want you to come over here and build a cyber practice. And I was like, I never did that, but sure, let's go. So went over there, spent a year building a practice, working with nuclear and oil and gas and financial and all the fun stuff. And we had a lot of toys and a lot of money, and it was good times. And, everyone had money. Oil was expensive. And so our clients, were just shelling it out for us. And then Deloitte called, and a friend of mine, Jitender at Deloitte, he called. He says, hey, we want you to come over back and build an internal cyber function. I'm the CISO and the GRC, and I need you to do the cyber, the technical security. And I said, cool. I'll come home. My wife and kids stayed here while I was in Dubai. And so I came back, worked for Deloitte for a year, but COVID hit. And so they said, hey, Keith, you worked epidemics while you were in the military, didn't you? And I says, oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, congratulations, you're now on the Deloitte epidemic team, And so I was working supply chain, and I was working, secure working from home and all. And it was actually a lot of fun. But the cyber thing fell away. And so we parted ways after only a year. From there, I went and did a really short stint at a place up in Nottingham. Didn't work out. And moved on to my own consulting limited company. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, is working with Envision Pharma. They're a technical company providing like SaaS solutions and applications for all the pharmaceutical companies. So they had a Conti breach in 21, and they brought Mandiant in, and my friend at Mandiant said, Keith, come in and help us, and then help them build the security program. So that's what I've been doing for 2 years as a contractor outside IR35, and it's been amazing. So I got no complaints. But I've actually got something now that I'm looking to move into, permanent work. I don't want to announce it because I'm one of those don't want to jinx it kind of guys, but in the next month or two, I'm moving back into a permanent role. I'm quite happy about it. So, keep an eye out, and hopefully it works out. I can go back to permanent and play all the political games, the bureaucracy that's involved in politics and so forth. And also I work, I volunteer working with students, Caps Lock. I've worked with Caps Lock. I've worked with military veterans, mostly on the U.S. side, but now I'm moving to British military veterans, working, signing up with Tech Vets and some of the others. And then also trying to help people that, maybe they want to go into cyber, So I had a couple 14-year-olds, friends of the family. They went through work experience. And their parents were like, do you want to go with Uncle Keith? Because that's a good job. So I had 3 14-year-olds, and I said, oh, this is amazing. What do I do with 14-year-olds, And so we got Hack the Box, and I got them doing Cybrary, and we were doing stuff together, and it was amazing. And I'm like, I want to keep doing that too. So now I'm looking at setting something like that up, sort of like a Cyber Cadets or something like that, here in the UK. And then I do board advisory for some startups, some friends. It's really friendly advice, So I'm there to help with that. And then again, at the bottom, and this really shouldn't be at the bottom because for me it's like priority one, is I'm a huge advocate for improving mental health, especially in our career, in our field. Our profession is really hurting, and it's across all levels. We used to cry about the poor CISO, but it's everybody in cyber. The CISOs too, but the mid-level people who are expected to wear 10 hats and things like that. So those are some of the things I'll be talking about today in Why Cyber Sucks. And I'll be honest, and I hope this isn't rude, but I was originally going to title this Fuck You Cyber. I have a book I've been writing for about 3 years now, as everyone writes a book, and it's called Fuck You Cyber, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like, we want to be successful, but there's cyber, screwing it up. And they want to do this and they want to do that. And, and I know that we're getting better, so I don't want to be too pessimistic about it, but all right, why cyber sucks. So, and my slide skills really suck. I used to do all the cool swoop-ins and, that, and now I'm just like, here's my slide. So this is basically what I'll be talking about today. And again, I kind of like it to be interactive, so I'm going to be asking questions. I'll try not to pick on people, because I know often people are like, no, don't call me. And I won't do that, or I'll try not to. But if I want it to be, and it's almost like, I think someone had a talk earlier about choose your own adventure. It's kind of like that, because if the audience doesn't want to talk about entry-level cyber jobs and how they suck, well, then why would I talk about it? I'm wasting everybody's time. So let's talk about something that means something to you, the audience. So the career BS, they're all going to laugh at you. Who knows that reference? Nobody? No? Adam Sandler? They're all going to laugh at you. Oh my God. I suck already. And my wife is like, nobody's going to know that. Okay, yeah. And then, as I said to Rosie, it's kind of a shit sandwich, right? This is Keith. He's a nice guy. And then cyber sucks. And then, it's not that bad, at the end. So, we'll see if I can convince you. All right. So let's start out entry level. There's a talent shortage. Everyone screams. There's a talent shortage. There's a skill shortage. There's a skills gap. We have 27 trillion jobs and not enough people to fill it. Okay, well, maybe. But I think I'm one of the ones who, my belief is we have people that can do the work. It's just most of us in leadership, our budgets and our teams are so tight. We would love to hire entry-level, no-skill people, but every position is critical. And so the reality of that is you need to come into many cyber jobs, technical especially, with some experience. And that's kind of how it really works. So raise of hands, who here has been trying to get their first cyber job? 3. Okay. I'm gonna hit this briefly for you 3. Okay. How many of you seen things like you can earn 75,000 pounds right out the gate? Do this certification and right. We've all seen that. I see it all the time. I see it from like British Army adverts, and they're like, leave the Army and earn 78K as a cyber. I'm like, that's not really being honest with the folks that are looking to join our profession. You can get there, and we can talk about, career paths and how you're going to get there, but the reality is it's probably closer to 25K, 27K, tier 1 SOC analyst. And that's the other thing is I don't think we're quite honest with people who are looking to join the profession, whether they're uni graduates or they're just, 18, 19 and they just want to join a profession, or career changers. I don't think we're honest in setting the expectation management for them. When you look at the jobs that are out there as entry level, most of them are SOC tier 1 jobs or Big 4 junior associate advisory type auditor assessment. You're not going to find many entry-level pen tester jobs, red team jobs. You're not going to find many engineering and architecture jobs. Even folks who come out of uni with all that skill set, it's very tough for them to find. I see people with master's degrees, and they're like, I can't get an entry-level job with a master's degree. What's going on? And the reality is they're competing against people with 3-5 years hands-on experience as a sysadmin or a network engineer who's now transferred those skills into security. And then, of course, the job ads, entry level, 3 to 5 years experience. You need a CISP. And here's the list of all the SIEMs you must be experienced in. And then we want this. And you're like, what? Really? First of all, you're telling me that you don't know what you want, which is not necessarily a bad thing because not all companies know what they want. And so if they go to a specialist recruiter, that recruiter might help them say, look, that's a terrible job ad, and we need to think about what is it you need. But at the same time, don't advertise which SIEM tool you use as well. So let's keep it generic. And and around the tooling and stuff like that. So again, it's very defeatist when someone who's looking for a new job, and especially now you go on LinkedIn and you're like, oh, a new job and 800 applicants. What the heck? You're like, how do I compete? And I think a lot of us know on the inside, we're like, it might be 800 people who clicked apply and never went and applied. Or it might be 800 people who applied from, Gibraltar and they're not available for the job. It's just people, Hail Mary, I need a job. And I understand that. It's hard. It's hard in the States, I would say. There's been more tech layoffs than here. But that's a whole nother topic of mine, around workers' rights and things like that I won't bring into this. But what are some of the best entry-level searches? Like some of you new folks, when you're searching for a new role, what kind of roles are you looking for?
Tech support.
Tech support?
Yeah.
So like...
because they need basic SIM experience, CCNA,
Yeah.
that stuff.
Okay. So tech support, is it more on the infrastructure side or is it more on the customer side?
Customer facing.
Okay, customer facing. And that's actually a good gateway. I worked at a couple organizations where we took help desk people, they've been there a year or two, and moved them into cyber as I had a GRC junior analyst, and then we trained one to SOC because our help desk was actually doing some SOC stuff anyways. There's not as hard delineating lines between IT and security, and they're crossing over more and more each day. I just did an Azure implementation of my current place, and now I got rid of all these other security tools, and now I'm using all the Azure Defender and da-da-da-da-da, and my budget just went cut in half because they're like, well, you don't need the budget because you just got rid. So I'm like, yeah, but I still have security tools, but they're being paid for from a different place. So now it's hard to know what tools do I need to get the experience in as a entry-level person. And I would say even maybe mid-tier is starting to think, well, hang on a minute. The old way of security was never put all your eggs in one basket. Don't go, Windows, MS is terrible for security. They're getting better. But so what do I do with all this 10 years of knowledge in Splunk? Cisco, formerly known as Splunk, as we do now. So it's tough also for the mid-tier people to go, well, I just invested all this time and now everybody wants to go to Azure. I got to relearn something that, it's really frustrating. And that's where I transition now to the mid-career, right? Everyone wants the unicorn. Everybody wants, I'm going to hire one role. I'm going to pay them £45,000, and they're going to be an engineer, an architect, an AppSec guy, a pen tester, a tier 3 SOC analyst, a threat hunter, a junior CISO, a da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, come on, And people take those jobs because in their mind they think, ooh, I can get this job, I can get all that experience, and they're going to develop me, and they're going to pay for all my SANS, and I'm going to get, $70,000 worth of SANS certs, and then they get in the job, and they're like, hey, here's your office in the basement, keep us secure, good job, good luck. And you're like, the person is like, what? I've been left, and oh no, what have I done? And then they either hopefully have a backup plan or they stick it out. And then we get into the mental health issue, the burnout, and we see people, and I think COVID kind of changed it a little bit and also the younger generations, what's important to them is get into an organization, make an impact, and then 1 or 2 years move on to the next challenge. Whereas folks, in my age cohort and so forth, we're like, I got to do 5 years there. I don't want to seem disloyal. And, but then you get to the end and you're like, it's no challenge. It's no fun. I did everything and I really want to move on. And we see all these young folks like, yeah, I'm going on to the next thing and you suck and good luck. But there's not enough development too. That's another reason people in the mid-career move on. We've stopped developing them. Again, we go back to the tool. We go to Azure in my place. It says, oh, yeah, we're doing Azure. And I said, okay, do we have any Azure trained people or knowledgeable? they'll figure it out. They can do online training and on their own time, of course. And I'm like, oh, awesome strategy. That's great. And then once things start going to hell, and who here has tried to get a hold of Microsoft before for tech support? They're like, it's like your reseller is on this phone and Microsoft is on this one. They're like, good luck, have fun, you two. And you're like, I don't know what we're doing. And we're not developing our teams. We, some of these SANS courses, all right, they're like the top of the line stuff, but they're $10,000? Nobody has that kind of budget. So in my place in Envision, I was told, you're a one-man security team. That's it. That's how it's going to be for a while. And I said, okay. And what I found was some of the IT folks had already done some of their own cyber training. So I said, network engineer, you want to learn some more? So I dotted line to him, and I started teaching him some more. And then the woman who took care of our ISO and GDPR and all that, she was working in facilities and operations. I said, do you want to learn more about cyber assessments and things like that? And dotted line to her. And then I was dotted lining, like being really sneaky. And I told their bosses I was doing it. They were like, yeah, whatever. And then 2 months ago, we got a new permanent head of InfoSec. And I said, you've got 5 people that you can just steal and bring in. And he was like, oh, well, they told me I couldn't hire. I'm like, no, they're all internal. So we went, it's kind of a shitty thing to do, but we went and said to the CTO, the new CTO, we're like, hey, we can build the cyber team and it's not going to cost anything because we're just taking people from IT and facilities and other places in the business and it's not going to cost you anything. He was like, oh, yeah, do it, approved. And then we went to the IT director and I says, I'm stealing 2 or 3 of your people. And he was like, at first he was like, oh man, it sucks for me. Then he thought about it and he's like, well, do I get to back hire? Yeah, it's still open position, you get to backfill, they're coming to us. And then he kind of was like, well, because one of the sysadmins, she actually handed in her notice. And then that week I called her, I said, would you stay if we brought you to InfoSec? She goes, yeah. So he goes, well, at least we get to keep Lorna, because she was about ready to leave, but now she's happy going to InfoSec. Yeah, okay, I can support that. And so it didn't end up being as dickish move as I thought it was going to be at first. So, but yeah, we're not developing. I mean, I'm not telling anyone in this room anything that you don't already know, and to include developing ourselves, I had to go and teach myself Azure, cloud computing, Defender for cloud, Sentinel, all these things, which I enjoyed. And I dusted off that 10-year-old part of my brain that hadn't done that in a long time. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But that's not really the answer. It's not a long-term strategy, is to, retrain 50-year-old CISOs into, that type of work. I don't have the mental flexibility to really do it as well as younger folks. And then on the late stage, the poor CISO, right? We have there's a high churn rate globally of CISOs. It kind of has tapered off a little bit over the last few months because people were losing jobs in the States. It had a bit of a knock-on effect. Recruiters were losing their jobs. I've seen a ton of recruiters out of work. And so CISOs were like, I'm just going to stay where I am because I don't want to lose my job and my security and so that. But typically it has been an 18 to 24 month churn rate on CISOs and heads of, and I think it's going to pick up now because as a contractor, I watch the job boards all the time, and it's gone from 10 CISO jobs in the UK to 40, 50. And they're not all CISO. Some of them are DPO type jobs, which you can't pay me enough to be a DPO. But it's current tough job market. But again, I think when I wrote this slide a couple weeks ago, so much has changed even in the 2 weeks. And then lowered standards. I think businesses are trying to have a bit of a go. So they're like, we used to pay this much for CISOs. We know that there might be a lot of CISOs looking for work or even just looking for a change. And so we can offer this, which is lower. Or they just offer silly low with kind of, again, insane requirements. And they hope to get someone in just to take the job or someone that wants the CISO title. so that way they can then get their path towards CISO, and then that person is not prepared. They haven't, lived the life of maybe a deputy CISO or someone who's assisted, and all of a sudden they're in at the deep end. And it's like, we need you to do this, we need you to do all that, and all of a sudden the person's like, I don't think this was a good idea for me. But what do? I can't give it up. So, again, it goes back to the mental health problem and potentially. Sorry, Michael.
On the late stage stuff, how much do you think that's influenced by CISOs taking the blame for everything? And how much do you think of it is because this new market of like VCISOs? So we use VCISOs because we can't put the full one on our own.
Yeah.
So we bring in a third party now. How much do you think that's influencing that late stage market?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I do see a lot of folks going straight to vCISO as a path, and I think it's easier because it's lower risk for them because they're a consultant, they're an advisor. They're not an internal full-time employee. So if they mess up, okay, it's not as harsh on them as the kickback on them won't be as bad. So I think there is an increase in that virtual CISO market availability, and it's also from people that I have some friends who are moving. They're going from the IT or the digital to being also security. So it's kind of like they're a hybrid, and they've gone and seen, there's a lot of these vCISO, so I'm going to do vCISO, vCIO, and they've got the whole V covered, and you're like, oh, great, I get 6 people. So, there's definitely some impact there from that. But the studies that we see from, like Hiscox and things like that, I don't think they ask those questions. I think they're still very sort of vanilla on what they want to know from CISOs and vCISOs. And so until we start really diving into the root causes, we won't have, to be anecdotal evidence. But I think you're onto something there. And I've seen it. And I hear Europe is really bad for finding CISO talent. And I think it's because they see it as too much pain for less responsibility, or they have the same responsibility, but not the impetus. They're not sitting where they think they should be. And I know a lot of times we say, well, we should be at the table. We really do have to earn our place there, and it's not as bad as a lot of people think. But I think a lot of folks, even in the States, or mostly in the States, the CISOs are the risk owners. And I tell my compatriots, I'm like, don't do that. But the problem is they don't have a choice, because they can be let go in a snap of the fingers. They can lose their job in America. There's no protections for them. So they're constantly worried, if I say no to something, if I push back, I know it's not right that I'm accepting all this risk, but I'm going to lose my job. Right? Whereas here, we have a little bit more of an attitude like, no, that's not right. And if you don't like it, you can get rid of me, and that's fine. I'll be all right. I'll have health care, and I'll have other things to fall back on, and I'll move along. So we have a little bit more power here on this side of the Atlantic. So is there any questions or comments that anybody? Yes?
On the kind of ideas of career progression and things like that, how does one adequately progress from the unicorn to the CISO sobbing in the corner, so to speak? Because the mid-career is where I'm at the moment.
Yeah.
Late stage is where I'm wanting to progress to eventually. But seeing the kind of opportunities to adequately progress to a point where I'm prepared and would be not an unprepared new CISO, which would taking on a role with a lower standard, so to speak. It doesn't seem like there are many opportunities to actually do that properly. It's either go in unprepared and jump into the deep end and hope I don't drown, or accept I'm going to be mid-career until I retire.
Yeah.
Retirement is even an option in this economy.
Yeah, and I will answer your question, but if I could quickly say, too, we have a problem in cyber that IT solved a long time ago, and that's with the individual contributor. So if you want to climb the ranks of career progression but not be a CISO or not supervise, we have architects and engineers and things like that. We don't have as much as other technologies options. But for you want to go into that leadership position, and it's really, you kind of have to find a place that is known for developing that talent. So I'll give you an example. At Deloitte, I was a director, head of cyber, and reporting into me was half the CISOs in Europe. They were all managers. They were CISOs, and they'd been doing it like 15 years. And so that was their progression, was they were a CISO, but they still had someone to care for them and guide them and develop them. So, but in most organizations, when you wear the CISO crown, like you can't go to the CEO and goes, I need development today, because he's going to go, no, you're the CISO. Do it. Do the work. So it's a very good question, and it's hard, until you know of that type of organization or you have friends that are that type of organization, it's very hard to identify where those opportunities exist. Because they don't normally. It's normally you go from the position where you're at, and then they say, congratulations, if you want, you're now the new CISO. And that's terrifying, right? So that's not a great answer, I'm afraid. I mean, so for me, I was very privileged in my career. I was told where to go and what to do and who to be by the military. And I just happened to fall into cybersecurity, and so I didn't have any of these conundrums that everyone else in the real world has. But when I left the military and I was, I'm going to be a CISO in the private sector, and then I came in and I knew nothing of business. I was one of those CISOs thrown into the deep end, and I did it to myself. And I said, okay. And I went and did a small little MBA course to learn what the hell they're talking about. And then I got a CFO and a COO mentor, so that you go, hey, how can I stop being the dummy in the room? Or worse, I was, we have 750,000 vulnerabilities, and they're all like, why does nobody care about my cyber metrics and reporting? It's beautiful. Look at all the graphs. And they're like, no, that sucks. And so I, at 40-something, had to do it, and so I did the certified CISO course and just doing other things. I was like, okay, I wasn't really ever a CISO, was I? I was, in the military. They called me a chief security architect, but I wasn't CISO. And then, so I've only really learned in the last 10 years how to do it. So it's a tough question. If you will allow me, I would like to go away and talk to some people and try and get you a better answer than what I've just given you today. Because it was kind of a shitty answer. So that's not my answer. How am I doing for? Oh my gosh! I'm way off time.
It's fine. The next one's not support us.
I ramble. Oh my gosh. I've got 42 slides to go. I am not going to make this. All right, let's do this. Oh, jeez.
Don't stand on there.
Some of the other bullshit in cyber. Influencers. All right. Influencers, because their advice is rubbish. Okay, again, I'm not trying to be mean, but you've been in cyber 8 days. And now you're a LinkedIn fucking influencer for cyber? How did that? Okay, I know how it happened. Social Saturday, everyone, post here and you'll get 2,000 LinkedIn connections that are quality. And I'm like, no. Okay, I mean, if you're selling a book or if you're selling something awesome, go get all those connections and 70,000 followers and stuff because it's your business. But if you really want to connect with, I connect with people, mostly recruiters, because that's self-serving for me at the moment. But I connect with people and then hey, how you doing? What you up to this week? And then a week later, let's have a video call. Let's get to know each other. It's 2 people a week that I do that with across all levels. Entry-level people come to me and say, I had someone yesterday say, I'm having a really hard time, and I know them, but we've never met. I'm having a really hard time, and you posted something that I think you're going to support me. And I said, let's have a call. jump on a call right now. And she was like, oh, I hate this. And I was like, yeah, that sucks. So those are like the connections that you want to make. Not, okay. You know, and again, a lot of them don't have much experience. Now, a lot of them, they have their hearts in the right place. So they want everyone to succeed. But a lot of it is like, it's almost like a drug. Like, I have 20,000 this week. I have 28,000 this week. And I'm like, so what? What does it really mean in the grand scheme of like life or our profession? How are you helping those 20,000 people? I don't know. You know, maybe I'm just grouchy about it, but gatekeeping, women don't belong in cyber. Oh, how did we go from 22%, according to SANS, to 17% this year?
Pandemic.
In 1 year?
Pandemic. Effect of the pandemic. Women typically have more of the roles at home. That's my opinion.
No, it makes sense. And I'll be honest with you, I'm thinking more recent about it than pandemic. I'm thinking financially, families can't afford childcare, and who makes more money? The husband. And so the wife says, I'm going to sacrifice my career because we can't afford the childcare, and now I'm going back to look after kids. Or they work in a shitty place now. Like, I'm thinking America again here. As an American, I can be racist against my American. In America, women it's like, well, we're firing all these people, and so you all better watch your shit, and we can just treat you however we want. And that includes you women. So stop being so independent and like sticking up for yourself and stuff, because we'll get rid of you. And a lot of dudes are that way. I'm talking like guys my age and older who, you know, return to the office mandates. Yeah. Who's impacted most by return to the office mandates? Men or women? Women, exactly. Because women working from home have the flexibility to do things that they need to do to take care of the other part of their responsibility in life. But they still get the work all done, right? They're still doing their job, taking care of the kids, looking after the house, yelling at their husband for not doing a goddamn thing to help. All those things the women are doing, but now the business is like, sorry, we need everybody back 3 days a week because, you know, collaboration and, you know, all these other things. It's horseshit. These guys, they like to look out over their cubicle kingdom and go, I own all these people. They all work for me. And if I can't see them because they're at home or they're fucking lazy and unproductive, even though the data says differently, right? I'm kind of like a hybrid, flexible kind of guy. I like to go and meet people, not necessarily the office. I like to go meet at the park or at the beach or at a cafe or whatever. We still collaborate. But yeah, these old dudes, it's usually old dudes who say, you know, oh, also my portfolio is suffering. I own a lot of business properties and, you know, shit, my bottom line is sucking. So everyone come back to work, you know, and it really is down to that. It's very, you know, I sound like a sycophant when I say it, but it's the truth. I think we can all, everyone in here can be honest to say that it definitely negatively impacts women so much more, all these things that are happening. And I think that, you know, I would love to see a proper study that goes to women and says, why are you leaving? You know, why did you leave the last few years? And then so we can see why that occurred and then do stuff to try and reverse the damn course on it, right? Because we worked, you know, I came in, it was like 5% women in IT. And we've seen it. You know, we're like, yeah, we're getting better. And then it's boom. You're like, oh, what the fuck happened, right? So, and then degrees versus certs versus experience. You know, you see it all the time. Degrees are better, certs are better, experience. You know, I think it's just like all three, you know, in moderation or a mixture of two of the three or one of the three, but really good, you know. But like I told a guy he had 32 certs in 2 years, and I'm like, I would never hire you, man. Well, why? Well, because you cheated, probably. Brain dumps. I know about brain dumps, and I know that you can go to India for a week and have a vacation, and they'll take all your tests for you, because I've been offered that kind of stuff all the time. I'm sure everybody gets, you know, we'll give you 100% pass rate. Okay, how much is that? Oh, okay. And they're really bad in the Department of Defense for that, the IT people. because they have to have certain certifications to get promotions, they'll cheat and get, I got 10 Microsoft certs last month, and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, have a life. And then I suffered, so should you. I have worked 32 years, and I had to make tea for 4 years, and it sucked, and I had to do all the crappy stuff, so you do too. Because you're just a new young person and your value is not as much. Right? And so they're like, oh, what the hell, Came in here all excited, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And now my boss or my boss's boss is saying that I should have to pass all these tests and obstacles and things just to be, equal or earn a place in the team, right? Ridiculous. And then the user is the weakest link, right? Ooh, we always blame the user, but it's our awareness programs. We fish people to death, Why do we do the phishing tests? I do them because I want to see how good I'm delivering my awareness. That's what I use them for. Phishing tests, they do have their place, I'll admit. It's a very easy way to get a metric that tells you what's going on. But you shouldn't use it as a stick. You shouldn't say, well, you failed 3 phishing tests, this last year, and you're not going to get your bonus. Or you should say, why have you failed 3 phishing tests? And they'll go, well, I have 10 jobs. And I'll be quite honest, I don't give a shit about your phishing test. In fact, I know it's a fish. I've had people tell me this. I know it's a fish, and I click on it. 2 minutes? All right. I am really sorry, guys. Why the board doesn't give a shit. All right, really quick. They all think we're rock stars. We think we're rock stars. We're prima donnas. We go in. You got to do it our way. And so we have to think. I always, like I said, no, but it should be like yes, but. You want to do that? Yes. Here's the 3 courses of action you can do to try and get there, or you accept the risk. Right? We're greedy. We still spend a lot on things, tools and toys, and cyber spending is still increasing when everybody else is dropping theirs. And then we don't understand the business. Again, I said I'm guilty of that. I thought I was the shit hot technical CISO of, from the gods and all that. And then I came into the real business world, and they're like, you're dumb. Like you absolutely had nothing of value here. And I'm like, oh, And so I had to go away and do better. And it really involved, again, reaching out to those mentors that could say, okay, yeah, you are dumb, but it's okay. We're going to help you get better. Okay. And then it doesn't really suck. Here's the other side, right? We have tons of really good mentors, right? I haven't seen many other industries where people are willing to help others all across the levels of their journey in cyber. There's growing mental health support. So Cyber Minds is a new initiative that was just launched. Again, I'm a big proponent of improving mental health. And sometimes that involves hiring more people to take the stress off your teams. And then we get to hunt. We hunt bad people, right? That's like our job. We're like the police of the internet. We help protect children, families. It's not just about the business. It's about protecting human, safety. It's quality now. It's not just about security for the sake of risk. It's introducing quality into it to improve business, but with security behind it. And I'm sorry my whole plan was to give everybody like 5-10 minutes to go do stuff. So I'm really sorry. But is there any questions or happy to? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I really like this slide about why cyber is terrible. I agree. They don't know how to speak to people. They demand money. Well, one thing I was thinking while you were talking about this, so from a very early stage, from the operation stage, let's say you start out in a SOC, I think from the very beginning you should be forced to think about where you're going to be in a non-operational, right? So that transition, the way you move towards a CISO issue, like you say, you've got to engage with the business, but you're not told that early on. Right. And all you care about is technology and security. So I think you should be forced to think about how you're going to get out of this operations role in 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah. And then basically choose a discipline, choose a specialism, right? So you're not going to be like a jack of all trades, right? And show your value to the business. I think that's really where we fall down.
I agree, and we're often called one-trick ponies by the board and the exec, right? all I can do is I can only give you CISO role. I might be able to give you an IT director, like an IT role or something. But, CFOs and COOs and others, they kind of can move around, right? It's that MBA, like I said, the MBA is kind of powerful. And it's not just because of what they know from that MBA. It's like a badge. And they're like, I'm an MBA, you're an MBA, right? So, like you said, we are so focused and so tunnel visioned on being just the best we can on this one mission that we do lose that future vision of where should I be in 3 years? Maybe I should move back to technology and learn more about what's going on there, and then think about coming back to security, or in your opinion, which is really good, it's like think about specializing and not trying to be everything to everybody, but still having, because there's companies, technology companies want a CTO CISO. They don't really care about MBAs as much. They want the technology-minded folks. Does it make sense, right? So when I say MBA CISOs are gods, I mean in that world. It doesn't apply everywhere. So, and I'm telling people that now. Like, I had an Army guy yesterday I was mentoring, and I said, he's in the RAF, and he's in cyber intelligence, and he says, I'm about to get moved outside of cyber intelligence to a different intel field, and I'm worried that if I stay in the RAF and I lose that, and when I retire, I can't come back to cyber intel, what I was doing. I said, not necessarily. However, if that's what you want to do and you're focused on that, then, think about punching out a year and staying on that track, and keeping your focus. I said, because, we think about AI security and robotics security and OT security, very hard to fill niche functions. Like COBOL came up again the other day. I'm like, COBOL? What? Okay. And there was a $350,000 job in the States for COBOL. I'm like, I wish I remembered that, but, so to your point, I agree. I think we lose, because we're so concentrated on what's in front of us today, we do lose sight of the future. Anyone else want to?
For one year, for the entry-level folks, how guilty do you think the IT space is for rebranding loads of jobs in cyber?
Oh, can you give me an example of what?
So I see loads of folks who go in and they look at it like the SOC. It's usually a SOC analyst role. I read the job spec and go, that's a help desk.
Oh yeah.
Right, and yet you see like companies, because they know there's great programs like Capslock, which I know you and I are involved with.
Yeah.
And suddenly they say like, I can get a job in cyber. And I look through the spec and go, pretty sure this was the job I had when I was 17, working on calls, working on the calls, shipping the tickets.
Well, MSSPs are really bad for that.
Right.
And when I say really bad, so I worked at Little Fish, and they were an MSP, really good, and then they wanted me to come in and build an MSSP, and my track was from the help desk, right? And so they started doing that. They started advertising the help desk jobs as cyber. Partially it was true, because our SOC was 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So the help desk, actually, those night shift people were SOC triagers. We trained them to respond to certain things. But you're right. I think it's a way to we sell this job as a cyber job. We're going to get more candidates, better candidates. As long as they're a little bit truthful in what they offer, I don't see a problem with it. But if they're bald-faced lying about it, I'd have to look at see some of those. You can send me some of those. I like to tear up a job spec.
You got loads, right?
Anybody else? Again, I'm really sorry that I went over time.
Oh, it's fine. The next one isn't on for the 10 minutes. So
Okay, good. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.